Hello and welcome to the Q&A for Raindance London for the Dilemma of Desire, and we are joined today by documentary royalty. I'm pretty honoured to be talking to you guys. Maria Finitzo, director, producer, Cynthia Kane, producer, and Diane Quon. So thank you so much for joining us and for making this incredible film.
Thank you for having the film.
Thank
you.
Yeah. So I'm just going to start off with one of your statistics, which literally blew me away. Only 25% of women orgasm vaginally. So that means 75% of us have basically thought that there was something wrong with us for well, our entire lives. What the hell?
Yeah, what the hell is right? It's actually probably even lower than 25%. It's almost anatomically impossible for most women to experience an orgasm through heteronormative sex. And yet that's the lie we're told all of our lives. And as you just pointed out in your question, the immediate response is, what's the matter with me? And so if you would think about that, we're asking women to experience sexual pleasure when they have just heteronormative sex, in the same way that we would be asking men to experience sexual pleasure if somebody touched their elbow. It's just not possible for many, many people. And yet that's the burden that we put on, anybody born female, right? That this is what should happen when you have engaged in sex, when it's in fact a lie.
And when it became clear to me that we're all under this lie is we had Maria, when we were looking for our subjects for the film, we had this gathering of over 35, 40, and Cynthia was there, young women, to tell them about our film. And so many of the young women said, I'm not sure if I've had an orgasm. I think something's wrong with me. They were questioning themselves.
Tragic.
And they were young women, and I think that's when it hit me that this is what we're all, so many of them are thinking.
I think there are going to be a lot of questions coming your way. So I just want to tell the audience that we've got 10 minutes, but I'm going to be asking a few questions, and then we've got 10 minutes for you guys to pose your own questions. So if you could do that in the Q&A section, then those will be fed through to me, and you'll get your chance too. I wanted to ask, actually, on your website, there was a comment that really struck home with me. It said, it really helped me, even as someone immersed in feminism for decades, to think about ways I still carry a sense of shame. And that was written by M. And I watched your documentary and I could not agree more. It was, I was talking to my partner in a public place just about your film and just how it really, really struck me. And I just felt really awkward saying the words clitoris, vulva, vagina in a public place in a way that I would never feel about saying willy or penis or dick. And I just wondered how common a reaction that has been.
That is so common. It is, and even as we were trying to finance the film, going to some really, kind of major places, and we would run up against this all the time. Even our female counterparts in the funding and film world, many said, it's going to be really hard to pitch this up to my boss because I can't say that word. And then we'd say, you mean clitoris? And they'd say, yeah, but we all have, I think I said clit prior to talking to Maria about the project, but I hadn't really said clitoris. And when you think of it, we make the word shameful, and yet it's an organ, and a powerful organ in every female born mammal's body. And I think, and it's true. I think it's like I think one of Sophia's laws is to say it over and over and over again until it becomes normal, and say it out loud, say it proud, and it's absolutely true. I think another great compliment we had from some an organization called Women Make Movies in the U.S. said this is a truly feminist film that really walks the walk and does the talk, and I think that was fantastic, and I couldn't agree more.
shame comes from when we don't talk about things, right? So we all know that, if we had a relative who did something horribly shameful and everybody, you would say, well, what happened to Aunt so-and-so? And they would say, we can't talk about that. And that's kind of what happens to women and their bodies, girls and their bodies. We don't talk to girls about their bodies. And yet, by the time my son was 2 years old, he knew he had a penis and probably what it was for. But my daughter didn't enjoy the same kind of knowledge about her body. And when I started making this film, and I met with Sophia Wallace, actually, even before I started filming, and she showed me what the internal clitoris looked like. And I had my what the fuck moment. I realized I hadn't talked to my own daughter about her body, and I felt really bad about that. And so, it's a really great way to shame someone when you make something just normal, something that should be hidden and not spoken about.
Yeah.
The other thing that's funny is that the US has a lot of, we have a lot of, FCC regulations on television, what kind of words you can use, like you can't say fuck, and sometimes you can't say shit. But we had someone ask us, I don't know if you can say clitoris on US television. We were like, what? I don't think that's true. I think you can say it, but it was the fact that some people who work in this industry weren't sure. It's a little shocking in 2020.
Yeah, and just talking more about the education and trying to get this film out there. How has coronavirus affected the audience? Because you guys were going to premiere it. We did premiere at South by Southwest, right? What happened?
Well, we were supposed to premiere at South by Southwest, and then a week before our premiere, South by Southwest had to cancel the festival, and they were the first festival to cancel. And so it was just sort of sent shockwaves through the industry. And I think for a while, none of us could recover. We didn't know what was going to happen. And I think, Diane has a film she's also was supposed to premiere at South by Southwest as well. I think we would all say the loss of an in-person screening is a tremendous loss. You don't get that connection with the audience. But what has to happen is we have to adjust, right? And so, while I long for an in-person screening, I am so grateful that the film festival world was nimble and could figure out how to start having online festivals, because that's the only way now we can reach our audience.
Great. And talk to me about the life of the film. Like how are the right people going to see it? I mean, because it needs to be seen by men and women, young girls, adolescents. How are they going to get to see it?
Well, we're lucky in that it is really a film that festivals have embraced. We have we've been so lucky that all over the country, US, Canada, and then internationally too, it's been well received. So I would say it's been out pretty constantly available. Well, there was a little pause as everyone, as Maria said, was trying to figure out what's going to happen next with festivals. But since then, it's been out there quite a bit and very well received. I think, like Maria said, the hard part is, I think, the in-person festivals. This is a film that makes you want to talk to somebody after you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is sad that we're not able to do that, but we have these Q&As at least, and have been able to communicate that way. And we're still trying to develop an impact campaign too, and figure out ways that we can reach out in a broader way.
Yeah, and we're hoping to take the film out, theatrically in 2021, and hopefully get a streaming or some kind of television deal, a broadcast deal. The pandemic has slowed everything up, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And I agree with Diane completely. It's a film that just begs for an audience, and especially by the end, you want to stand up and cheer and sing. So.
I mean, the good news about the film is that in 2 years, people will still not be able to say the word clitoris without being embarrassed. So it's kind of evergreen. You know, I don't imagine that, you know, January of 2021, the patriarchy in the US will have been disbanded and we will all be embracing equality for all. I don't think that'll happen. So
Yeah,
I think this film will
sadly.
have a long, because these are issues that we will continue to face for a very, very long time.
I really appreciated the way that you brought the male point of view into it, because as you say, it is about the patriarchy. It's about a system, not about being against men or, you know, giving men a hard time. It's just literally, you know, these are facts that we have just not been aware of. So I thought, yeah, it was. I wondered if it was difficult to get a man to be involved in the Q&A, to have that sort of questioning.
Was it difficult to get a man to participate in the film?
Yeah.
Well, our
Oh,
funder, some of our biggest funders are men, because they had men with daughters, and they were really wanted to support this film because they want their daughters to have, you know, to have agency over not only their body, but to feel equal in this world. And I think that was a huge thing. And I have a friend who's a British screenwriter, and he, since your Raindance is in London, and he saw the film and he was like, oh my God, if I had just seen this before my wife left me, we might still be married. So, which was very funny.
And I think one of the things that it wasn't hard to get Sophia Wallace's friend to be in the film. I thought Alex is his name. I thought he had some really excellent points. But what also happened is that the crew we used was incredibly diverse, both from a gender and a racial standpoint. And so there were men on the crew. And they would say to me, you know, sometimes there were men, sometimes there were women, but all of the men on the film would say, this is an amazing, I can't believe women are talking about this. This is so amazing that they are able to talk about this. It's really hard for men to get together and talk about stuff like this. And one of the things that we did at some point is I thought I needed to bring together a whole group of men to talk about sex. And so we did, and we filmed it. And it was quite, and I stayed away, and I had a completely male crew, and I kind of hid so that they wouldn't feel embarrassed. And we didn't get anything very interesting, because all they wanted to do was talk about porn and laugh about that. And nobody would come clean because they were too unable to come clean. So the scene never made it into the film. It was very interesting.
And I wanted to ask you how you went about finding all the women as well, because it's so diverse, so wonderful, and everybody had something very authentic to say.
Well, there's kind of two groups of women that we kind of talk about in the film. They're the professional women who are working in a space, like Sophia, Stacy, Lisa, and T. And those are folks that Maria first met Sophia, who connected to Stacy, and T, we met, someone had told us about her, and we were just talking to her about something else. And after we talked with her, Maria, I think we both, all of us, Cynthia too, thought she would make a great character. And so, and then the other women were the people that were in that group meeting that I was talking about, where we had 35 women come to see a clip of the film. And it was opposite of what Maria said the men's gathering was. This gathering, all the women were just pouring out their stories, and afterwards we said, if you're interested in being in the film, to let us know. So I don't know how many we interviewed, Maria, before we came down to the final 4 or 5.
I felt like we interviewed about 12 people.
Yeah.
And then we had to go looking for Koriyama. I wanted a queer woman. I wanted a queer woman of color, and also she does such incredible work in that space that I really felt her perspective and knowledge would add a great deal. So we kind of then had to ask people to recommend people for the film, and she was recommended, I think, by a couple people to me. So.
Yeah,
But there's so many women willing to talk about this. That's what was so amazing.
Yeah. And Maria Finitzo is the one director I've ever worked with that can really handle this amount of characters in a film and make it feel, usually people don't want any more than 2 or 3, maybe 4, 9 women, and you feel very intimate and close to them by the end of the film. And Maria's just, she works magic on that. I've never worked with any other director that could really handle that in such a beautiful, beautiful way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. It gave such a beautiful window into each of their lives, and I was in tears at several points because I could, yeah, I felt like I was really with them. I'm just going to throw this out to the audience. Please do get your questions ready. So we'll be going to them in a few minutes. I just wanted to talk now about the state of America and how you feel that impacts on your film and what you're trying to say.
That's a good question.
Well, yeah, the state of America, right? So when I began the film, I would have told you that, you know, lying to women and girls about their anatomy is one way you control them, right? You control the knowledge about their body and therefore their agency over it. Well, the state of America has gotten dramatically worse since 2016. And now that control over women's bodies has, you know, we're losing access to affordable birth control. Women are losing access to affordable and safe abortions. There's a woman on the Supreme Court who really could be the lead, you know, she's lead in The Handmaid's Tale without a lot of trouble. And there's just this horrible push towards denying anybody born female with the right to be in their life and in their body in the way that makes sense to them, right? There's a backlash against LGBTQ and trans people. It's just gotten bad. I think the film, when we show the film to audiences, they wholeheartedly embrace it. But we have not been able to sell it to any streaming platforms in the US. And I think the state of the US right now has impacted on our ability to sell the film. I don't know, Diane, Cynthia, jump in if you disagree.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think we're at this, well, I think due to the election and again, the extreme right in the US, it's been very, you know, everybody's in this state of, you know, non-movement right now. And especially, and also due to the pandemic, of course. And hopefully things will change. I mean, we're gonna, you know, my mom, my grandmother, you know, feminists, you know, they thought, I've talked to even my mother-in-law said we fought so hard in the 60s for, you know, civil rights, for human rights, for women's rights. And, you know, and to see the clock turn back, you know, what has happened in the US, especially recently, but it's heartbreaking. So we do have a long road ahead of us, but I think, you know, working on this film really changed my life personally. And just as all the young women in the film, the characters, the Chicago characters that were, you know, as we see, they all cut their hair at the end. I just chopped off all of my hair. I had waist length hair and I just chopped it off 2 days ago. And I thought, oh my God, I'm just like every young woman in that film. I've gone a journey and this film took me on a journey. So we have a fight ahead of us, but I'm positive. We have so many strong, incredible women in this country and feminists, and with the rise of the trans and non-binary communities as well. And I think we have a chance of really pushing equality full force. We just need to pass that Equal Rights Amendment finally.
Incredible that we're still not there. But,
it's shocking.
Absolutely shocking. That time has gone by so quickly. I'm just going to ask 2 more questions. Here we go. You in the opening scenes, you mentioned that Grey's Anatomy only had, you know, sort of a couple of pages about the female anatomy in comparison to loads of pages about the male. They recently brought out a 40-second edition of Grey's Anatomy. Do we know if anything has changed?
Not that much.
Well, actually, in the beginning of the film, in Grey's Anatomy, there is no mention of female reproductive organs, none in that version in the film. I think what is safe to say, I don't know what's changed with Grey's Anatomy. It's probably a little better now, but you're talking about 3 out of 5 college level anatomy textbooks will still omit the internal part of the clitoris and have a little tiny paragraph about it, as opposed to the male anatomy, which often gets 6 to 10 pages, right?
No, and no
And that's
diagrams.
still true.
No pictures, no diagrams, no drawings, no, dissection, anything. So.
And when you think that, women are consistently having operations, giving birth, and so little is known about the impacts on the female pleasure organ. I mean, it's
Yeah. I was, for
wrong.
instance, just talking to my friend who's a pharmacist, a male, and he was saying that you'd be surprised how often women are misdiagnosed or given the wrong medicine because they just don't know enough about the female anatomy, reproductive. I mean, it's crazy. Like, what year is this? And I think the other telling scene was when Stacy calls up Google and sees how many scientific articles have been written about the penis versus the clitoris. It's just another example of how we don't matter, how it just has been so unequal. Yeah.
And one thing we didn't include in the film is that a lot of times drugs for women's cancers and stuff, just as Diane said, they don't know enough, but they also test them on men as opposed to women, and which is that's crazy. And but it's just things have got to change. So we hope this film will be a call to action on many, many levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just going to wrap up. I'm just going to say clitoris, vulva, vagina. What amazing words. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of this, because I did need reminding. And thank you for this joyous documentary, and thank you for spending time with us. And I hope it gets as wide a release and as many eyeballs on it as it deserves to.
Thank you,
Alexandra.
very much for having me.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.